Still unpacking. Yes, it will. Yeah, it's great.
All right, everyone rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Chuck Kyle. Bill Fitzgerald. Matt Gilfillan.
Here.
Fred Dan Kloss.
Here.
Linda Rippendale.
Here.
Sue Walls.
Here.
Tom McDermott.
Here.
Sean Wingrove.
Here.
Andrew Hartwell. Oh, sorry. Mike Wozniak.
Here.
Debbie Midgley. Here.
Can I get a motion to approve the minutes from the May 4th, 2023 meeting?
I'll make the motion. And I'll second.
Matt.
Yes.
Fred.
Yes.
Linda. Yes. Dan.
Yes.
Sue.
The next item is the community development report from April. Mr. Wozniak, do you have any comments on that?
You have my report, it's not further comment.
The next thing is public comment for anything not on the agenda. All right, we'll move on to old business, which is application 2023-8-SP, the Chick-fil-A drive-through improvements. This is an application for preliminary and final approval of a land development, major land development on 1.49 acres of land located at 120 Andrew Drive, Pittsburgh, PA, in the B2 General Business Zoning District, Allegheny Parcel ID number 412B3. Is there a representative here?
Hi, I'm Jim Curry with JLL. We are a design and construction consultant for Chick-fil-A. I'm here to represent the store and the corporation.
Hi, my name is Erin Goglin, Bowler. We're the site engineer on the project. So, as you guys remember, we were here last month for the improvements to the drive-through to help kind of speed up the exit process for the restaurant. During our presentation last month, we said we were going to submit verbal modifications to the ordinances. So I did submit those to Mike over the last several days here. But we wanted to kind of go over some of the changes we made to the plan and our modification requests. So we are requesting 3 modifications, the first of which is for the sidewalk connection internal to the site. We did add, is it just the, oh, there you go. So we did add a little parklet to our site plan. What our plan does not show, it currently shows the landscaping that is on the adjacent Texas Roadhouse parcel. That will be removed and a sidewalk stub will be added there. So we're proposing to add to that sidewalk and provide a little seating area for pedestrians and users of the sites. This plan does not show, but we will add a little connection to the parking lot to allow other users to access the space. We have also added sidewalks along the front of the building. Along those sidewalks, we added streetlights to help enhance the pedestrian experience. We are still requesting a modification for the streetlights, as we're not going to provide them along the property frontage. Since there's no sidewalk there, it didn't really seem to make sense to light something that wasn't there, but we did want to provide the township standard lights along our sidewalks that we're proposing. And then third modification that we are requesting is for sidewalks along the frontage of the parcel. Again, there's no sidewalks adjacent to our parcel, so it doesn't really make sense to provide a sidewalk to nowhere, as it's kind of unsafe to promote pedestrians along that corridor. That's really all we have. Other than that, I think we are able to address most of the comments made by Len Smith-Solere, but we'd be happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Does the township have anything to add?
Not at this time. Aaron and I did speak today and kind of hashed out the last little missing links to this. So.
Mr. Weaver?
Yeah, most of these questions of us, further.
Any questions? And then we've asked to do modifications first.
Yeah, you can do modifications.
And then do these have to be individual or together?
You can't do handle each modification request, and then when you do the motions, they're granted. So you handle like A, B, and then make a motion.
So I hear a motion for the following modifications requested for the, not performing the sidewalks on the internal connections. The second being the sidewalks in the front of the building, and then the street lighting along Stonehill, or the street lighting along the front. It's the internal sidewalk connection.
That's the internal sidewalk connection. That's the first one. Right.
And then the external sidewalk along the frontage of Summer Park Drive. And then the third is the street lighting.
If I may, the street lighting, I think what they're proposing is to not do it along Summer Park, but still do it on the site, which will mirror what Texas Roadhouse is doing up there, so we'll be consistent.
Okay, so they're going to do that. Okay.
Matt,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
and Sue.
And just information with regard to the sidewalk on, any ordinance, in addition to the justification, there is, with along with granting of that waiver, there is a fee that's calculated based on it, on that line. And you can look at the engineers.
Understood. Thank you.
And then do I hear a motion to approve application 2023-8SP for the Chick-fil-A drive-through improvements?
I'll make that motion.
And second?
I'll second it.
Deb?
Matt,
Yes.
Dan,
Yes.
Fred, Sue, and Linda.
Just to be clear, we just approved all the variances, correct? All three
The
months?
modifications?
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
We just do this conditional, right? So the second one to go along with the previous application is application 2023-9SP, which is the Chick-fil-A drive-through conditional use. This is an application for conditional use approval of a drive-through associated with the Chick-fil-A restaurant located at 120 Andrew Drive in the B2 General Business Zoning District, Allegheny Parcel ID 412B3.
It's not really a whole lot to
Yeah.
add to it. Again, if you guys have questions, we'd be happy to answer.
And that's just because they're adding the extra little space on the exit of the drive-through. So
Drive-throughs are conditional use because they are alternative requirements.
any questions? Do I hear a motion to approve application 2023-9SP for the Chick-fil-A drive-through conditional Thank you.
Thank you.
The next item on the agenda is new business, which is application 2023-13 CU for the McKee Road Townhomes conditional use. This is an application for conditional use approval of townhomes at the corner of McKee Road and Steubenville Pike, located in the MU Mixed Use Zoning District, Allegheny Parcel ID number 496-C-10.
My name is Pat Cooper with Gateway Engineers. I'm here with Chad Wheatley of Flaherty Associates. We're here seeking conditional use approval for an approximate 100 unit townhome development. This will be for sale townhomes near the intersection of McKee Road and Flaherty Road. It's wedged in between Route 22. You see that Route 22 is at the bottom of the page. McKee Road is on the left side of the screen, and the Steubenville Pike is at the top. It's a 21-acre parcel. It's zoned MU, and townhomes are permitted as a conditional use in this district. So we're here seeking conditional use before submitting final site plan and subdivision, because we just want to make sure there's a project for assessing spends a lot of money on the project. We initially submitted this requesting 2 modifications. Like I pointed out, the modifications requested from the zoning ordinance. The ask tonight was just here seeking conditional use. Everything seems to fit all the conditions that are required to meet. Take any questions you might have.
And then the 2 modifications that you plan on requesting during future applications, can you explain those?
We want to get the your temperature on that. That's one of the main things we need to know before final engineering occurs. We know you're not going to vote on it, but we did 100 feet. Our cul-de-sac is approximately 800 feet. In most municipalities in the region, the maximum cul-de-sac length is 1,200 feet because that's the maximum length that PennDOT will reimburse for liquid fuels. The 600 feet is on the short side of and what we had proposed here is something that we've done in South Fayette 3 times. They have almost the same ordinance that North Fayette has. And by making it physically possible, but we're not sure if we can get management.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is I think we need 2 entrances. We're way above the, so you and a couple stood by the ordinance of requiring 2 separate entrances.
That's why.
At a minimum, I think they should be 2 fully functioning entrances, is my opinion. It's kind of hard to touch general 30% design. But that is my decision.
Not be creating a new road, basically just be bringing that road all the way through, and they would have the connections on both McKee and Steubenville Pike.
But it's not a paper road, right? I mean, it is a grass.
Correct.
Way to get in and out of the 100 townhomes.
Yes, continue the
There's a public road.
Where's the L on that?
Right across from that cap. Like,
Yeah.
not at the intersection, but like just west of the river.
Because I'm wondering, does that create any problems for coming up on the top of that hill?
Coming back up.
Yeah, coming back up.
On Secret.
Yeah.
Steubenville.
I agree with you. That would be the best option, to have that as a second access point.
And then I guess if you would do that, then that would eliminate the 600-foot variance for There's no other questions, then do I hear a motion to approve application 2023-13 CU, the McKee Road Townhome conditional use? And that is just for the conditional use, no modifications are being voted on tonight.
I'll make that.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Linda?
Yes.
Fred?
Yes.
Matt?
Yes.
Dan?
Yes.
And Sue? Yes.
Thanks for your time. Is the conditional use hearing going to be,
I'll figure out.
appreciate your time.
All right, the next item on the agenda is application 2023-14 CU for 110 Andrew Drive conditional use. This is an application for conditional use approval to allow a shopping center at 110 Andrew Drive, located in the B2 General Business Zoning District, Allegheny Parcel ID number 412-B-2.
Good evening. My name is Tyson Miller, KU Resources. We are the civil engineer for the project. I'm not sure what all slides we have here, but there we go. So, so you may know this as the Quaker Steak and Lube building. So the Chick-fil-A, which you just heard the application for a little earlier, is next door, Summer Park Drive. So the proposal is to, and so having a multi-tenant building constitutes a conditional use, and that's why we're here. So there are 7, I think, standards as part of that conditional use. Some of them are not applicable. One we have requested a modification for. I think based on the letter we received yesterday, we may need to request a modification from the second one, depending on how you want to do that procedurally. But for those of you who are familiar with that building, the entrance, the main entrance is here facing the parking lot. So there is really no, not much facade treatment on Summit View Drive. So the conditional uses, some of the conditional use items here relate to opacity and fenestration on the frontage of the road. In this particular case, this building, similarly, the Chick-fil-A and the bank are all facing towards the interior parking lot. So that's an existing condition today. Since we're saying you're renovating the building, that's going to remain. So the existing building is about 8,500 square feet. We are adding a slight addition here on this side. Right now, that's an outdoor patio, again, if you're familiar with it. So we're adding a little bit of building, and then we have 2 exterior patios here. So right now, the plan is to have a restaurant on both of the end caps, and then a retail use in the middle. There is an existing drive-through here. It's a pickup-only drive-through, and that use is intended to remain. So therefore, we don't need a conditional use because that's an existing, and we're not proposing to alter that. So we are updating some of the parking around the building. And so, yes, similarly to the last application, we're here seeking conditional use, and we'd be following up with a land development application, in subsequent time. So I know we've been working with township staff on circulation items, which actually kind of benefit the whole area. And a lot of those actually are driven by Chick-fil-A. We're working with them to try to come up with a common solution, but that's something that we would present at a future date. So overall, even though we have a slight net increase in building size because of the central portion being a planned retail use, the parking demand actually slightly decreases overall for the property. So we are able to meet the code for the parking requirements on this property itself. So this is again just the architectural layout for how the building is going to be broken up into the 3 tenants, and then there'll be some common mechanical spaces in the rear. And yes, so here are some perspective renderings, and we do have the architect here if you would like to ask specific questions. But for those of you again that have been there, there's some garage doors in the front of the Quaker Steak building. Those are being replaced with more of a storefront look. There you can see there's some a little I'll I'll use some of my architectese here, but there's some additional articulation and different materials being proposed on both the front and the rear, which you'll see in a second, that you get a little bit more visual interest, a little more attraction than what the Quaker State building is now. The race car's gone already. So someone drove it on out of there. So the rear, this would be the side that is facing Summer Park Drive. So we are adding some additional materials in the back there. So and there will be some signage. So it won't necessarily be a blank slate. There is some things there, but again, based on the current letter, I think we might have to request a modification for the opacity and the fenestration there. So again, that's all being kept in the front, and there's a lot of back of house kitchens and things like that in these buildings that there's really no opportunity to put additional windows in the rear. And again, these are just the side elevations, and that's that. So again, the modification request is, if we want to do what we need to read it, and typically how you go through that, but
if you don't mind.
pardon?
If you don't mind.
Yeah, so one of the first items on the conditional use is, if there's an anchor space, that's not applicable here as a multi-tenant building. So the one we're requesting modification for is all buildings should provide a prominent, highly visible street or entry doorway or entrance along the front side of the building. Obviously, the existing building situated as it is, that's not easily able to be complied with, so we're maintaining that existing entrance off the parking lot. So that's item 2 that we're requesting point 2 of that section of the ordinance, we're requesting that modification. And then the one that came up in the letter was number 4, where street level facade of any building facing the street shall be transparent, incorporate windows between a minimum of 3 and 8 feet height. So again, I was kind of lumping those two together in the original modification request, but I think based on staff's review, it sounds like procedurally we should ask for a modification for that section as well. So similar reasoning. Again, we're just not able to add in this particular case anything approximating that. We can certainly visit any additional architectural features along that Summit Park side, if that's something that you want to discuss. But again, we're requesting a modification for the windows because that's not going to be feasible for the uses that are inside.
Any comments from the township?
So the first request requires all buildings to provide a prominent, highly visible street level doorway. Obviously, we can't make them pick the building up and flip it around. It's situated the way that it is. So I think that's a reasonable request. For the other one, I think the township would be open to alternatives. I don't know if you remember the data center where they provided kind of little windows along the side, and I believe Texas Roadhouse along the parkway, they had built kind of a porch area, like an architectural feature, instead of just a blank wall back there. So it doesn't necessarily have to be windows.
Yeah, so what I think would be, Steve or Scott, if you want to talk about what some of those options are, but I think we'll be happy to work with staff and the planning commission to provide a suitable treatment on that side.
Mr. Wingrove, any additional comments?
Actually, nothing further to add. We just had those two, one modification and one maybe not modification we talked about. Only other thing to add, like the last application, this was just conditional use review, so no landscaping, no buffer yard setbacks, all that sort of thing. So that's why our letter is relatively short, but nothing to add beyond that.
Now, since the facade, that was not part of the conditional use, so we voted on that modification, or is that just?
It is part of the conditional use. That's one of the conditional use criteria.
So the street level facade, you said you'd be able to provide some sort of
If you want to talk about what some of those other options might be, and then just
We're talking specifically about this elevation that's facing primary road. The way that we articulated it, what you're looking there, the beige color, I guess we got it both here. The beige color is meant to be stucco. That's some of the existing stucco that's going to be refinished and repainted a different color to try to move away from the Quaker Stake and move very specific Art Deco kind of vibe. And then we're doing a base course of stone veneer. But we articulated, like we did on the front, 3 separate kind of
we'll call them storefront areas that could probably easily accommodate a spandrel glazing so that it looks like it's a storefront, and it also incorporates the exit doors that are meant to access the trash area in the rear. So they probably wouldn't be, because of the uses that Tyson mentioned with the kitchen, back of house stuff, they certainly won't be transparent, but they could be reflective and they'll look just like a aluminum storefront would be in the front, just not, can't see through it, that's all.
As heavily traveled as that is, that's probably the most prominent space because it sits there at that four-way. So whatever can be done to make it look more attractive and a little bit more aesthetically pleasing would be, I think it would be in everybody's best interest because it would, you know, it would help. Everybody drives past her every day.
Everyone sits at that light.
Everybody sits at that light,
Yeah.
and it's sort of, you know, for 3 minutes, you know, out of every 2 minutes, you have a captive audience to sit there and look at everything. And making it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing would be of a huge benefit.
Well, the good thing is I believe all the 4 doors shown there, you kind of see they're kind of blanked out because we wanted it to blend with the stucco in this rendition. Those are all new, so we can relocate them within the grid of an aluminum storefront that's similar to what's on the front / back, and I think get to what you guys are looking for.
Yeah, I think that's a great point.
So I guess how do we vote on this, because you're still not gonna technically meet it, but we're gonna make steps to improve, so is it, we grant it with conditions?
I think that would be appropriate, at least from our end, you know, if you want to speak to it.
I think the ordinance does, without modification, transparency, we've taken the interpretation, not to mean just a window, like you described, the spandrel or kind of fake glass, I guess for lack of a better term, we've interpreted to comply with the ordinance. So it wouldn't be a modification, it would still just be complying with the comments left in our letter, which is one of those.
So then, yeah, we can stick with the one modification and then we'll comply with that section by providing the treatments as discussed.
Does anyone have any further questions?
60%.
I think so.
That's the ordinance. I can't, I would just have staff, make sure staff approves it.
I think we won't have a problem given the size. Those sizes are very similar to what's on the front.
It says 60%.
60 between 3/4. Right. If that's all, do you have additional questions?
No additional questions.
I guess I'll ask since the previous application had brought up, is there any other things in terms of, we can go back to the site plan, is there any other items that you would be looking for that we should keep in mind in terms of, you know, again, a lot of it's existing, you know, buffers and things like that. We know that we're going to be kind of stuck with modifications for those because of how the lot is situated, one being a unique shape and two being that it's an existing condition. Obviously, we'll be putting in some new landscaping and things of that nature, but if there's anything else that you know, jumps out at you, we appreciate any feedback that you have on that.
Yeah, I'd just probably say that pretty much all the buildings in this side of the shopping center have recently fallen under this new ordinance, so I understand that your building is very close to the road currently.
Yes.
But I think as much as you can get in there for buffer yards, and landscaping and items like that, we do realize there are some difficulties that you face with non-conforming setbacks and stuff. Do you have anything to add, Mr. Wazia?
The only thing that, I know it's a preliminary plan, and how much you want, just the connectivity to connect to Chick-fil-A on the other side, crosswalk, whatever, to get across the parking lot.
Yeah, we can look at that. We did add a little sidewalk connection here over towards the bank, but we can, you know, I think we did talk about putting a crosswalk here, so we can accommodate that. But hopefully, you know, the patrons won't be walking past these restaurants to get to Chick-fil-A. Chick-fil-A. But if that's what you want.
Any additional questions before that? All right, do I hear a motion to approve modifications for this application? The modification is requesting a modification for the requirement that shopping centers provide a prominent, highly visible street level doorway or entrance along the front or side of the building, which faces the street. And that is due to the building facing the opposite direction. Do I hear a motion on that?
I'll make the motion.
Second? And then roll call.
Matt,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Linda, Dan,
Yes.
Sue.
And then, do I hear a motion to approve application 2023-14-CU for the 110 Andrew Drive conditional use?
I'll make that motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Roll call.
Matt,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Sue, Dan.
Yes. Thank you very much.
All right, the next item on the agenda is application 2023-15-OR, H&K rezoning. This is an application to amend the official zoning map to change the zoning classification of the property located at the intersection of Scott Road and Castile Drive, Allegheny County Tax City number 413-L-1, from the B2 General Business Zoning District designation to the I2 Heavy Industrial Zoning District designation.
It's me again. Hi, Erin Bowler. Here tonight, just making sure that the client wasn't here. That's a problem here too. For PC Real Estate Holdings LLC, present their application for rezoning of the parcel along Castile Drive. As you guys probably know, this parcel has been sitting vacant for quite some time. There's actually 3 different zone or municipalities, Robinson, North Fayette, and then Moon. So our client's looking to rezone this parcel from B2 to I2, which is consistent with the parcels around it. Right now it's just for rezone. They'll come back through. They're hoping to I think there's a site plan here. This is about usable space. We can come back to it if we want. They're proposing 2 buildings that would be used for service centers for commercial freight vehicles, as well as office space for employees. These uses are complementary to the uses adjacent and would actually be used to service vehicles that frequent these facilities. I would be happy to answer any other questions about the use, the rezone, anything you guys have.
I do have one question for you. I don't know if you can answer it. There's no rezoning in Robinson, right?
It's conditional use in Robinson.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's actually in for conditional use at Robinson right now.
The county question. That is part of the
Yeah.
rezoning.
Yeah, so that is in right now, and then no development will take place in Moon. That's all, I think, north of the river or creek. That runs through the site.
Mr. Wingrove, any comments?
In fact, we actually didn't review the rezoning application. Did we have any comments?
Any further questions? All right, do I hear a motion to approve application 2023-15-OR for the H&K rezoning?
I'll make the motion.
Do I hear a second?
I'll make the second.
Roll call.
Linda,
Yes.
Fred,
Yes.
Matt,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Dan.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any items for general discussion?